In 2010, Republicans did not just win the House, and they didn't just win a bunch of state legislatures all across the country. Republicans won a bunch of governorships, too. In Michigan, they elected a new Republican governor named Rick Snyder. And within 10 weeks of him being sworn in, Republican Governor Rick Snyder of Michigan and the newly unilaterally Republican Michigan legislature passed a bill to give the state sweeping new powers that no one else has anywhere else in the country. They revamped an existing law to give the governor the power to overrule who you vote for. They took for themselves the power to declare a town or a school board to be dysfunctional. And if they decided that you were dysfunctional, then the governor could decide to just take you over. You don't get a vote. They decide without you. And no matter who you and your town voted for to be your local elected officials, that is overruled. The governor appoints an emergency overseer, an emergency manager to run your town instead, with the power to overrule your vote. They can strip elected officials of their power and take over themselves. They can even abolish the town, sell off its assets. You get no say. The governor used the new power to strip all the elected officials in Benton Harbor of their powers. The town council kept trying to meet. They tried to pass a resolution honoring the Constitution, for example, to try to make the rather obvious points, but they were not allowed to do that. They'd been stripped of their powers. So Benton Harbor went. A Detroit suburb called Allen Park went. Flint, Michigan went. The school district in Muskegon Heights and Highland Park, those went as well. Michigan is a majority white state, but altogether the populations having their right to elect their own local officials taken away from them in these places were mostly black. Michiganders voted to repeal the radical emergency manager law. But because the Republicans still held majorities in the legislature, 5 weeks after the election, the Republicans passed a replacement bill to the one that just got repealed by the voters. Only this time they passed it in a way that could not be repealed the way the old law was. And now 13 weeks after that, Republicans in Michigan are going for it. They're going for the big one. Today at 2 p.m., Republican Governor Rick Snyder of Michigan announced that he would use the takeover law, the one that got repealed and they reinstated. Yeah, he would use that takeover law to overrule the voting rights of the population of the largest city in Michigan. With this takeover, and considering all the other things they've taken over under this law, this will put roughly half the black population of Michigan under the direct control of Governor Rick Snyder of Michigan. If you are an African American and you live in Michigan, the chances are 1 in 2 that you are allowed to vote for your own local elected officials. Half of you get to do that, and the other half, Rick Snyder decides for you and overrules your vote. The choice in Michigan is supposed to be dictatorship over dysfunction, right? You're supposed to believe that if you give up democracy, well, democracy is nice, but you can't fix problems with democracy. So if you give up democracy, then you can fix what democracy can't fix. But with the exception of the one town that is marked on this graphic with a gold star, all of these places have been in and out of financial trouble for years now. They have been in and out of emergency management under different versions of the law. Weaker law, stronger law, it has not mattered. Only that one very small town with the star on it, it's the only one to ever emerge in good shape from losing its democracy and then stay in good shape thereafter. Giving up voting rights as a way of saving cities, it turns out, does not save the cities. And so yes, Detroit has a problem. Nobody says that Detroit doesn't have a problem. But this emergency overseer thing that the Republicans are doing in Michigan, it does not seem to be a solution to that problem.